Hey, welcome back to SureFire Live. I am thankful to be here. Tonight is just before Thanksgiving, and I do not have a guest tonight. It's just an open conversation about the chimney business, about your business, about whatever you have to be thankful for. And I've got some comments and some things to talk about. So welcome in. Hope we get settled in here, and we will talk as long as we need to and not longer. I did want to say, I want to talk about one thing we're doing for the business symposium that we've done those for the last couple of years. I normally head up business symposium for CSIA. And I was talking to MACA, which is the Mid-Atlantic Chimney Association, and they asked me to put together a business forum for their regional members. And so with their help and with CSI's help, we're going to kind of team up and have our first business symposium in the Northeast somewhere. I think it's in the DC area. Details are to come. We're just finally finalizing them, but it should be it's a really all business symposium for that regional guild. And I'm mentioning it for two reasons. If you're in the chimney industry and you have a regional guild and you would like to put on a business event, we still have one more to put on. We're going to have one in February in the Mid-Atlantic area. We're going to have a second one probably in late spring in Nashville. And a third one is yet to be determined. So we're open and looking for places to do that. This year, or the first MACA event, we're going to have Tommy Nelm's going to speak, John Caesar, Allison Reynolds, Alan Rush, Joanne Quintera, Jim Brewer, Hope Stevenson, and I'll be hosting it and doing the MC and as well as a class. So if you're interested in that, there's going to be some more details to come. And lastly, I'm asking if you want that, if you're in a guild or in a regional group that is looking to put on something like that, let me know, because I have to fill one more and find a place for it and do it. So let me know about that. Again, open conversation. Looks like we have some good people. Please send comments in. Today is going to be kind of me talking to you about whatever we want to talk about. But I wanted to start with a book that I read a long time ago. It's called The Go-Giver, and it's a pretty good book. It's a little out there in some ways for me, but there's a couple things in The Go-Giver that really made me think about tonight's episode about being thankful. And one of them, in the opening pages, it says, most people just laugh when they hear that the secret of success is giving. Then again, most people are nowhere near as successful as they wish they were. And I thought I like that. I like to think about that. And I like to try, some of my mentors and some of the people I love to be around, you almost can't give enough. You can't outgive them. As soon as you do something for them, they have to do something back for you in a bigger way. And I like being around those kind of people because it's just, how much can we help each other out if at all possible. So tonight I wanted to hear what you're thankful for. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I'm thankful for, but uh, you know, there was a guy that came into my office a couple of days ago, and he he wraps our vehicles, and he also does a lot of printing for us for shirts and uniforms and stuff. He's got a thing that kind of does all that kind of business for us. And lately, they'd been kind of dropping the ball, and there'd been some issues. And he was bringing in some shirts for our Sweepway Cancer Rally that was finished in the summer. And a lot of people, the shirts, they didn't know what happened to them. They finally came through. Well, come to find out, he had pancreatic cancer. And I was he lost about 70 pounds. He was what we call in the South a big old boy, and he was probably close to 400, maybe 350, 370, and now he's down under 300. And he's a tall guy too. He's probably 6'3", 6'4", and he walks in. He's the owner of the business. I normally don't see him. I normally see the people that work for him. He brought in a box, and I said, "Hey, how are you?" He said, "Hey," and I almost didn't recognize him. I said, "Hey, I haven't seen you for a while." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I got pancreatic cancer." I said, "Wow." He said, "And it spread to my liver, so I'm going to die from it." And it was hard talking to a person that knew they were about to die, and they knew that they'd had a death sentence with their health. And I just, what do you say to people like that? I've been in a few situations where people tell you they're going to die, and what they've got is terminal, and then how do they live at that point? And I did notice that he seemed a lot nicer, and I don't know if that says anything, but before, when he had his health, or when he felt like he had his health, he wasn't a very nice person. I would say he's very gruff and kind of hard to deal with, and kind of he did good work. His company did good work, but he wasn't necessarily nice. And that the other day when he came in, he kind of spent some time. He was a different person through and through. And so there's that saying that when you have your health, you have 1,000 wishes. And when you don't have your health, you have one wish. And I like to keep that in mind, because why not live like you've got that anyway? Why not try to do the right thing and be good to people all the way through, as if you don't know, because we don't know. And so when, we had a good talk for a minute, and he apologized for letting the ball drop. And then he said something I think is relative to business, and possibly your business. He said, without me, my business kind of falls down. He said, I've been sick, and so I've been the guy that has made, I kind of plug the holes, and I kind of make sure stuff doesn't fall through the cracks. And when I got sick, my company just started falling apart without me. And that's always been my message, that let's learn how to build businesses that aren't totally dependent on us to run them. I mean, that's been my message. That's not a message for everybody. That's just, to me, what makes the most sense for me. Because as in my story, my family had built multiple businesses, and, but they were always dependent on, my mother, father, relatives, that person had to do the work or the business fell apart. And eventually, my, mother got sick, just different things happen to people, and the business just crumbles. And so my point was, let's teach people, and let's see, for me, how to run a business that doesn't necessarily have to have me, so that it's actually better for everybody, including me. The business you want is a business that doesn't totally need you to run. That's the most fun business to have. But for a while, it takes, all your efforts. So in this case, he hadn't built that kind of business. He built a business that totally needed him, because I know what it is. He would not give up the keys to power. He would not give up the ability to make decisions without him. Everything had to come through him. Everything had to be double checked by him. Everything, he had to give the okay for everything. He was the bottleneck of the company. So when his health went out, he got pancreatic cancer, the company just is starting to fail. So, if you're a business owner and listen to this, one of your challenges, in my opinion, is to build a business that can truly run and function without you. And the only way you do that is to build up leaders within your business. You have to build up people that can take it on and have the capacity to have some vision and move it forward. And ideally, it's in your best interest and everybody's best interest, but you want to have people that can do that. If you build a lot of people that are just followers, there's no way that your business lives on and moves on without you. So for the first step tonight, thankful for your health. This last week, I was also asked to be in, they called it the Man of the Year or the Woman of the Year contest for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And so I got nominated for one of the people from last year who ran, and she nominated me. I thought I was just volunteering to help out the society, and they're like, no, we're having you run, and we're going to have a team of people behind you to help raise money. So in the next, I think it starts in a couple weeks, and it's a 10-week run. So I'll be coming to you with probably a lot of stories of people who have health issues, and especially with this lymphoma and leukemia situation that affects a lot of people out there. And I was honored to be nominated to run for this. So please, when I ask for some help, or they're gonna teach me how to do fundraising and how to do some things. I've done fundraising for Sweet Boy Cancer and for Warrior Horse, but these guys are on another level. And the main reason I really accepted the nomination was to help, one, but two, to learn how to raise money for, other these smaller charities that I work with and non-for-profits, so that we can, can help as many people as possible. So again, you guys are pretty quiet. There's a handful of you on here, and I have not seen any comments. So tell me what you're thankful for. First of all, what are you thankful for? And then second, so my next thing besides health was wealth. And wealth is very different for different people. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to read a couple more things from the Go Giver. I know I wrote some notes down. So actually, this follows in with wealth too. It said, I like this quote from that book. It said, "Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them." And when I first started my chimney business, I remember that first it was a miracle with the phone ring. But then once it got going, I remember even after I've been in business a long time, I could handle 300 to 500 customers, a year was typically what I did as a one-man operation. And, I always heard that if you could serve more people, you could actually be wealthier. How do you figure out how to serve more people? And now, we service, sometimes 300 plus people a week, so we do more by far in a week than we do, right now we generate more income by far in a month than than a lot of companies do all year, because we figured out how to serve more and more people in a really good way. So then it just compounds. I do have a comment. Let me read it. It says, "Hey, good night, Mark." Hopefully that means good night. It's a good night, not bye-bye. But so then another thing was, ultimately the world treats you more or less the way you expect to be treated. And I like that, because we all know people that have basically a negative aura around them. And sure enough, it seems like more and more negative things happen to them. And I like that quote, that ultimately the world treats you more or less the way you expect to be treated. So Kyle German says, "Hey, I need help with logistics. We keep going from one town to another, back to town where we were on the first call." Man, we're getting into some tactical stuff, but that's absolutely, we still have that problem. There's some people that are really good at, but yeah, there's some. Chad Murray just sent me a text that there are some comments coming in. For some reason, I wasn't seeing them. Still not seeing all of them for some reason. Here's one from Mike Fazy. Thankful to be living in 2021. There are a ton of resources to business owners, especially in our industry, that were not available in the past. Also, wakeboard boats are way better than they used to be. That's awesome. Mike is a big wakeboard fan, and he's also, one of the, next generation guys. He was a second generation, and he was a second generation guy, and he took his, from what I understand, what I remember right, his father's business, and has taken it clearly to a whole nother level. And I love seeing what he's doing. So yeah, wakeboard. I love seeing your videos, how you wakeboard stuff. But again, young, healthy, living in, you could say we're living in the worst of times, but the truth is, most people are doing better overall than they have maybe ever. Let me see. There's something happening with my messaging that I'm not seeing. Let me just check my personal Facebook page, because some of them may be coming across there. Mark Stoner. Sorry, I'm just going to make sure I don't miss things. Let's see. Yeah, there are 8 comments on here that I wasn't seeing. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't seeing this one. Let's go. It's chimney time. That was Kyle. Here's Chad. I'm thankful for my eyes opened up to helping and receiving help in our industry. I love that, Chad. I won't be able to post that, but Chad was one of those guys who developed a ton of products and systems on his own, kind of outside our industry. And he kind of felt like he didn't necessarily need the industry. And sometimes when you step in this industry from an outsider, we have a tendency to jump on people and bash them because they don't know. And kind of one of the reasons we started Chimney World is so that we don't put up with that. We don't have that. We're here to learn and help each other, cheer each other on. This is hard enough. We don't need to just beat each other up. And Chad was one of those guys. He had developed a lot of his own. And when he came out and kind of opened up to our industry, he's been able to help a lot of people and bring a lot of foresight to. And I found that to be really interesting, because sometimes when people stay under the radar, they develop. It's almost like the Galapagos Islands. They develop kind of all on their own. And some things are way better, and some things are like, why'd you do that? But they didn't have any resources. So Chad is a great example of how we can help each other a lot. Bob Fawnin says he's thankful for mentors in my life. Carmen Catherine says, thankful that you treat people the way you want to be treated. Yes. And she says, love that you're sharing generational stories. Also, Tom, some other friends are watching. And then Carmen also says, actually, Mark, there is a gap. Lots of people are doing better and lots of are doing worse. There is a small group midway. Yeah, that is a great point. She's right. There are a lot of people doing better and a lot of people doing worse. I think that obviously the people who are doing worse, those of us who are doing better, to me, look around, help, lend a hand, lend advice, lend your time. As much as anything, you probably have enough time to pick up the phone, reach out to someone, talk to someone, cheer them on. One of the most exciting things for me ever is to sit down with somebody who has an idea about business and me to cheer them on. And just see them get excited about business and get it. By the time they leave talking to me at an event or at a lunch, they're ready to go. And because the world doesn't do that for a lot of people, it just beats you down. And so be that, light in people's world. Chris Becker says, I'm thankful for the great friends I have in this industry. I'm thankful to be challenged to continuously improve my life, family, and business. Man, Chris Becker is another one of those guys. I need to get him on this show. He is a superstar. He has gone through super ups and super downs, and he has got big goals, and he is out there making it happen. Chris, that reminds me, I need to bring you on this show. You're going to be one of my next guests. Love to hear what you guys are thankful for. Kyle German says he's also dealing with can't. Oh, this is more of a technical thing. I'll get back to that for him. So thank you guys for all those comments. I was wondering, that we weren't seeing them, but for that, I wanted to move back to wealth, and so right now, as we know, the government has printed probably. I read, and I've said it before, and I believe this is right, but it said that they've printed 40% of all the money ever printed in the United States has been printed in the last 12 months. And some of us, whether we got grants from the government, whether you got income stimulus packages, or whether you're just on the other end of it as a business and people are buying your services. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It doesn't feel like it's totally sustainable, but we're in the middle of it. So here's my thought about wealth right now. If it's coming to you, congratulations. Some don't, but I think, and a lot of people are growing their companies, and I think you should grow your company, but try not to grow your company, especially on too much leveraging of wealth. Especially, in my opinion, too much equipment or vehicles leveraged out. And maybe I'm going to be wrong about this, but again, and sometimes the past isn't exactly what's going to happen in the future, obviously. But I remember in the past when business was really, really good, it was amazing, maybe not as good as this was, and then it crashed. The people who were leveraged the most got hurt the worst, right? When it all went away, they were the ones who had the most things taken away. And the people who ran businesses mostly not leveraged out, bought most of their things with cash and didn't over leverage themselves, survived the bad times. The over leveraged companies and people lost tons of stuff, went bankrupt, things got taken away, couldn't restart, had no credit. The people who didn't really use credit to build their business kind of went down and then they shot right back up. Luckily, I was one of them. I always believed to not finance too much of your, especially your liabilities. To me, a truck can be a capital expenditure, but at the end of the day, if it's not running, it's a liability. And you got to watch financing too much stuff. If you want to grow, try to grow with cash. Try to go with what's coming in because the down isn't so bad. Now, a lot of times you grow slower, but you grow more responsible in my opinion. All right. So thank you guys for, I see a friend of mine is watching, Ryan Dixon, and he and his brother just opened a brand new SureFire building. And you talk about a dream come true for those guys. I know that they had purchased a franchise, and it's been, from what I remember, the franchise wasn't necessarily doing well, but they jumped into it and really made it an amazing thing. And I think yesterday they had a ribbon cutting on a brand new, huge, beautiful building. I know they're excited to take what when they purchased it was not necessarily a great franchise and it looks like it's just an amazing franchise. And those are two guys that just are good people. They're very much what I'm saying here definitely resonates with those guys, and they run a business that way, and they treat their employees really well. So let's move on to, got to make sure I've saying to everybody. Yeah. Okay. So here's another one. I was on a talk the other day. One of my mentors, Larry Winget, was retiring. He's retiring from doing a lot of things. And they asked me to be on a panel for him to basically wish him well and say, goodbye in the mentoring and teaching game. And it was amazing to see all the people who made a quick video for him and thanked him for all of the things that he had done for them in their life. And I just watched tons of people tell Larry what he had done for him. And Larry's a pretty tough guy. If you ever see him on any news shows or read him his book, he's tough. But it got him. He had a tear in his eyes, and I thought, wow, what an amazing thing to do for someone, just to show them how thankful, what they meant in your life. Make sure they know it. Make sure you're not just saying it at their funeral or after they pass on their Facebook page. Make sure, they know how thankful you are of them. So Larry was teared up, and I was the first. They brought me on to talk, and I'm half wrecked, crying. I'm like, why'd you guys bring me up now to talk? But basically, there's people in your life that really change it. And Larry has a saying that I love, and one of the guys on the call said it again, and I forgot about it. He said, exploit your talents for the benefit of others. And that is the way to be happy in life. And that's the way to really give back, to exploit your talents in the benefit of others. That is, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily pay back. Sometimes it backfires on you, no good deed goes unpunished kind of thing. Sometimes that happens. But when and Larry, he's very outspoken, and he puts stuff out on Facebook, and sometimes it absolutely gets smashed. And a lot of times he's in a battle. But man, I can tell you the other day when all the people who he benefited in their life came to say that to him, it was all worth it. It was all worth the battles that you fight for doing the right thing and to help other people. Let's see here. Oh, also, as far as wealth, I see a lot of employers doing some amazing things for their employees. I think that's been a big shift for the better for us as an industry. The old feeling of just, the owner run the game and the employees are kind of behind you or over here or do as I say kind of thing. And you're trying to pay people the minimum you can to get by. That to me is a benefit of what's happened in the economy and with some of the crazy stuff with COVID, with there not being enough people out there. It's forced us employers to look at employees differently, and I think that's overall a good thing. I think now sometimes employees are not good. You can do all kinds of great things for them, and they don't take advantage of it, or they take advantage of you, or all kinds of things. But in general, I think it's a good thing for employers to be more trying to benefit their employees more with better benefits and better pay. And I watched my friend Chuck Hall, his company, all of his employees get a turkey at Christmas. And I watched another friend of mine taking all their employees on big vacations and take them. I think Mike Fazy just did a big thing for a lot of his people, or his management team anyway. And in the next coming weeks for Christmas parties, we're going to see a lot of companies doing amazing things for their people. And man, I can tell you, I've been in this business long enough to know that wasn't normal 10 years ago. What's happening now for people was not the norm. We were lucky to have people. We were lucky to pay them very well. I tell this story quite a bit because it changed my life. One day when I drove into my business, and at the time I had 17 employees, and I was driving a piece of crap car pretty much, and there was only 8 cars in my parking lot with 17 employees because everybody was riding with each other or had somebody drop them off, or worst case driving my van home. And then I remember just being embarrassed for my company. I'm like, if my people can't have a nice cars, how would I ever have it? And what kind of business am I building? Like, this is my fault, right? When I drove in and I see what people, how they're living and how I'm employing them and also how I'm compensating them, that's my fault, and so I'm like, I'm going to learn how to pay them better. And for me, it was basically commission structure based pay. So that they get a piece of everything that they bring in. They got to get a piece of the pie, not hourly rate with what I thought they were worth. I'm not saying that's wrong, but for me, I'm like, what's the cleanest method for us to, kind of compensate each other? And somehow it's some piece of the production. I'm not saying it's all commission. It could be hourly plus commission, could be salary plus bonus or whatever, but somehow, it had to be good for everybody if it was ever going to be good for me. And I'm seeing some just amazing things. I see here, Kyle says, I got all my employees to cater Thanksgiving dinner for eight of their family members. Right. So cool. We've got a big Christmas party coming up next week. And we kind of give out our Christmas bonuses for the year. We give out a ton of Christmas gifts, and it's going to be an amazing event. But I remember when I couldn't afford to give Christmas gifts. I remember when I was so broke that the only Christmas gifts I could give were I baked cookies and candy and gave that in a tin because that's all I had to give. And it kind of became a tradition. Even when I was able to do things, I kept baking and making things for people. Well, it's a little harder with the size company we have now, but I'm still giving them our chocolates that we make. But give what you can, help wherever you can. So Susan, I think I missed part of her comment. Let me check the comments down here. So Tommy Nelms, he's the president of the Chimney Safety Institute of America, and he says, we're in the chimney industry, but we're in the people business. Take care of your people and invest in them. The greatest return you will get is investing in your people. Good stuff, Tommy. Completely agree with that. We are in the people business first. Here was Susan Ann. She says, the best part of being a business owner is blessing my employees. Man, I love this. I have a good feeling about tonight. It's so funny. Before I was doing, I'm like, I'm not sure exactly what to do tonight on. I hadn't really thought about it much. Sometimes it just has to come to me at the end. I was thinking, let me do something about being thankful. And then I was on a meeting with Jim Brewer earlier, and he goes, let's do something on being thankful. And man, thank you guys for really giving me what you think about being grateful. Because again, I don't know how else to enjoy life without being grateful for what you're given. I was watching the border crisis, and everybody has seen that down there on the border. And I always say when I see that, I always tell myself, I'd probably be one of those people trying to get across the border. I would be one of those. If I could not get into this country and I wanted something better, I would be one of those people. I'd do whatever it took to get here. So, you can't blame those people. You have to figure out how to help them in a good way. Because most of them just want what you and I want. We want a better life for our family. We want more of an opportunity. We want a safe place to live. And those people are just desperate. So, how do we help them? On that call I was on with Larry, one of the other guys that was speaking was a Mexican business guy that I'd known him for, 7 or 8 years. And he has a story where he wanted to get in the United States bad. So he was an illegal immigrant, and he crossed over 16 times and was returned back 16 times. And he remembers looking across the fence, and he could see a Jack in the Box. And the Jack in the Box was kind of the sign of America to him. All he wanted was to get over here, and he wanted to try a hamburger at Jack in the Box. That was a big deal to him. And on the fence, on the border fence where he was trying to cross, or where he was crossing, there were these crosses on the fence, and the crosses were signs where people had died from, bad, what they call coyotes, or who knows how they got killed trying to cross or trying to get in the United States. And he was still willing to do that. He was still willing to do whatever it took to get a chance at the American dream and to get a chance at just, eating a hamburger. And so he got across the fence. this one time, right where the Jack in the Box was, he went right to the dumpster and got a hamburger out. And that was his section of the American dream. Well, they caught him and brought him back again. And he finally got across the right way. He finally got across the legal way. But, he said, Mark, it's a lot harder than you realize. We say we want them to come across legally and do all that. And I agree with that. But he said, you almost have to do it illegally to do it legally. He said, you have to pay somebody to get moved up in the line. You have to pay somebody more money than you probably have to get even a chance to come across legally. So I'm not trying to turn this into a thing on immigration, but when I hear people in their struggle to get here, it helps me understand again how thankful and grateful and how lucky we are to be just born in this country, to have the opportunities we have. But not only that, to do the most you can. I think you are tasked in life to do the most you can, you need to exploit your talents in the benefit of others. That is why you're here. And then for you business owners, benefiting your employees, teaching them a trade, helping them, raise families. There's a weight to it as owners that's kind of heavy sometimes, but that is, to me, that's what we're here for. So I got some more. I don't know why most of them are coming in on my phone and not on this. Chad Murray says, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, good feeling and good intentions tonight. Yeah, so we are singing a little bit of Kumbaya. I mean, why not, right? Why not? There's enough negative on the news. There's enough negative. If I watch anything, there's one side or another coming at me, and the reason it's that way is because there's no money in the middle for these news outlets. There's no money just to talk about good stuff. There's no money just to try to spread try to span the gap. The money is in one side or another, and hopefully, to me, I just get so tired of it, because when I talk to real people in real life, they're not that way. They may have a slightly different opinion. They may have a slightly different battle on their hands, but most people are good people. I think most people want the right thing, but TV wants us to think we're super far apart, but I just don't think. When I talk to real people in real life, I think we're pretty dang close. Couple more things. I have, I had another thing here on the Go Giver. It was on the back of the book. It says, this is kind of a quote in the book. It said, please don't misunderstand me. There's nothing wrong with making money, lots of it. In fact, it's just not a goal that shall make you successful. Reading the bewilderment on Joe's face, he nodded and put his hand up to signal that he would explain. So he says, you see, the majority of people operate with the mindset that says to the fireplace, first, give me some heat, then I'll throw on some logs. And of course, it just doesn't work that way. And so I thought that was interesting because he talks about fireplaces, but that's what this whole thing is. You can't go to the fireplace and say, as soon as you give me this, then I'll give you the logs. You've got to put the logs in first. You got to put the work in first. You got to build your people. You got to build your company. You got to build your systems before it really starts turning on the heat. Now, some people, it doesn't take much. And some people, like for me, it took me a really long time. I think the resources and, this kind of thing, this kind of talking back and forth helps us build faster businesses. This year, there's a few years ago, I was on a TV show on CNBC. And on the TV show, I said, it's right at the beginning of the episode. I said, at the time we were one of the largest chimney companies in the U.S. and we are a $5 million company. And I said, by 2021, we'll be a $10 million company. And I didn't know how we were going to do it. And to me, that seemed really big and out there and a crazy proposal. But I said it on national TV. And the whole time, my whole goal has been not to end up being untrue on national TV. Well, this year we broke that, and we went well past it this year as for 2021. And I showed that clip to my chief operation officer because he saw it, but he wasn't around when that show was out, and it kind of brought a tear to both of our eyes because uh, just what's happened and what we can do with it, and how many people we can help with that, and it's helped our lives too. I don't want to sound too cheesy, but everybody benefits from a well-run, well-trained business, well-led, good culture, good for your community, good for your people. Everybody benefits from good business. So let's see here. I've got a few more. JJ Soares said he wants a bonbon. And he also said he asks if I'm hiring. Jay Walker says, if that doesn't fire up, your wood is wet. So thankful for my team and industry. Jay's another one of those guys that has given back to this industry tremendously. He was the president for the National Chimney Sweep Guild for a long time. He was instrumental in helping me get on the board and being some of my first mentors in this industry. And he's another guy he does the right thing. He has a lot of fun with he likes to hunt. I think he likes to barbecue and smoke, but he runs a chimney business, and he runs some J. Walker Enterprises where he has other services as well. And another one of those just good guys in our industry that's always tried to do the right thing and tried to stay out of the mess. Well, guys, what else is going on? Give me something else to talk about. Those were my things. Let me make sure I got all my notes out. I did just want to reiterate, and it seems like it's in other businesses too, but this was interesting. I heard this today from Alan Rush. He heard it from another person. He was around today, and he said, whether you look at life as your cup is half empty or half full, at least you have a cup. And I like that. At least you have a cup. And that reminds me of the guy I was talking to with a death sentence that I don't want to be morbid, but man, to me, that stuff rings to me and makes me want to do more, makes me want to do better. And I think probably most people are like that. All right. Anything else, guys? I might cut a little short. I was pretty tired coming into this call. I was like, I needed some energy. You guys have given to me. You guys have responded in a big way. I will answer this technical question of Kyle's. He says, dealing with a chimney that we can't get a lift, get to without a lift, and customers not wanting to pay for the whole service because we advertise level 2 inspection of a chimney on top to bottom. So if we can't do the whole chimney, they want a discount or don't want to pay or for us to rent a lift for free. So yeah, sometimes I'm not thankful for certain customers and certain situations they put us in. To me, if I can't provide the service, I don't charge them the whole thing. We have a money back guarantee. I may not charge you at all. If I can't do it or you're not happy with the service, I don't mean necessarily the repair or we're doing a ton of work and they just decide they're not happy. But 2 times this week, people have put something negative about my company on social media. And they've been in these little private groups like Nextdoor or on a Facebook small closed page. But I know so many people, it comes to me anyway. So what I do for that is I immediately respond. I have them respond through the person who belongs to that group and say, hey, this is whoever their name is. I know Mark Stoner, he's the owner, and he wants to know these things. And I put my personal cell phone on the Facebook page. And again, I do that because I want the other people reading it to know that that I'm listening and paying attention. And 2, on social media, if somebody starts something bad, then everybody jumps on bad. If somebody starts something good, it seems like everybody jumps on good. I've been on social media, Facebook pages where we were named 20 times when they said, who do you call? It was us. But then I've also seen times when somebody said, I had a bad experience with them, or they're too expensive, or they're this. And then all of a sudden somebody else chimes in. It's like they feel like it's their time to shine on social media. So I'll reach back out and try to do the right thing and say, hey, I'm watching. We have both of these people that did it never told us they had one single problem. We always call the next day. Are you satisfied with the service? Is there any questions we can answer for you? Would you like to move forward with any of the proposed work? Those are the three questions we ask all the time. And both of these people that put something negative said, no, great service, had no problems at all, no issues. And then they say something negative on social media. So in a night of thankfulness, I'm not thankful for people who won't just come right to me and let me know of problems. But Scott Scraper says, I'm thankful for great business books and Audible. Amen to that. I have learned so much from Audible podcasts. I mean, I can't wait to turn my day into a driving, learning machine so I can kind of have, it kind of energizes me. All right, so I'm going to finish this up. Carmen says, I hate Nextdoor for so many reasons. Jeremiah says, I'm a single dad and I'm thankful for the opportunity to give my three children a better life than what I was given. My three children better life than I was giving them before, and the ability to spend more time with them. So Jeremiah is a new technician for us, and he is making the most of it. And I can tell he's grateful and he's thankful. And I'm going to tell a story about you, Jeremiah. I don't know Jeremiah super well, but I ran into him at a grocery store not long after he had been hired with us. And we just started talking. I started talking about chimneys specifically. And I don't remember exactly what we're talking about, but I remember when I finished whatever I was saying, he just looked at me and he goes, man, you're really into this, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's all I've known. And yeah, I'm really into it. And he said, I could tell he got some energy from it. And he liked that, the owner of the company is still into it and still giving it everything I know how to give. And, I still believe in what could happen. That's my rainbows and unicorns thing. I still believe that there's so much that can happen in this industry. And seeing what we've turned into over the last 8 to 10 years, this industry has changed on its head. Now, there's some people that don't want it to change. They want it to stay the way it was. But man, the push is to grow, to have really good lives for the owners and for the chimney sweeps. I remember in 2012, we did an industry survey. And if I remember right, I was talking about it on Facebook, but if I remember right, the average chimney sweep owner made $65,000 a year. And I think the average chimney sweep made like $35,000. And then in 16, I think the average chimney sweep owner made about 75, and the average chimney sweep was about 50. And man, we haven't done a recent survey, but I can tell you it's a lot better than that, especially for technicians. And usually the owners are too. Sometimes the owners pay the technicians more than they make. But I can tell you our whole industry, this whole blue collar industry has exploded. And there was a lady, just reminds me of a story. I was at a liquor store buying bourbon for our caramels that we have for my chocolate company, and we have a bourbon caramel. And I was talking to this lady, and I said, "Is there a less expensive bourbon than I could get? Because once you put it into candy, it doesn't matter if you got Woodford Reserve or Joe Cheap bourbon, it all tastes the same once you put it into candy. That's very different if you're drinking it." Well, she said, yeah, we have a different, another bourbon that we could talk to you about, but I won't be here long. I'm going to, that person over there is going to be the manager. I said, oh, great. I said, what are you going to do? And she's like, well, I'm going back to school. And I said, great. What are you going to school for? She goes, well, I'm going to school to learn how to grow vegetables. And I said, why are you going to school to learn how to grow vegetables? And she goes, well, I want to be the lady at the farmer's market and have a business that I sell vegetables at the farmer's market. And I said, you don't need to go to school for that. You could go to YouTube and get all that for free, all that information, and get out there and start selling uh, vegetables. She goes, yeah, but the community is going to give me free education. And I said, but it's a waste of your time. I said, I'm not against education, but I can promise you, you do not need a degree to sell vegetables at the farmer's market. And to me, she'd been a little bit brainwashed that you had to go to school to get a degree to own a business. And I was just trying to help her that, I'm all for education, obviously, but we need to make sure people know that it's more about what you do. That degree can be good for certain things. I'm all about that. But man, for the majority of things, it's up to you what you do. Scott Scraper, business books, Audible, YouTube, online, certain kind of education systems that are not a degree. Pat Jenkins says, I'm super grateful for forums like this and rock stars like you guys, allowing a perspective of the big boys. I learned a lot following SureFire. Oh, thank you so much. SureFire was a, I don't know if you know this, but basically it was something that came out of something else. And so we had started a franchise, and in the franchise, we're like, we need some kind of a method to train everybody the same way. And so in that, once we developed part of that, I'm like, I bet that could help other people that don't want to buy a franchise, but they need, chimney education, and it goes from there. But that was more, of how can we benefit more people? How can we take our talents and for the benefit of others? And it helps people. And thank you for saying that. So let me see. Jim McKee, a good friend of mine out of Ohio, says, we have a great crew who like each other, and we like them. It's good to like each other. A quick story about Jim McKee. Well, the owner of his company, the one that started it at the time, was Steve Blackburn. And Steve Blackburn was a mentor of mine. He was a very giving person as well. He's the one who helped me come up with so many things and introduced me to people. And unfortunately, Steve got killed a few years ago in a plane crash on the way to a meeting that we were all attending. And he was a giver. Everybody that knew Steve knew he was a guy that he's kind of crazy, but man, he would give his shirt off his back. He helped a lot of drug addiction people, and I think maybe even alcoholic addiction people. He helped a lot of people in his spare time. He was just a good soul, and it was very sad the day he got killed. And but he was a good egg. So thank you for saying that, Jim. You do have a good crew, and I hope Debbie is doing well up there as well. Chad Murray says, I'm thankful for the 1-star review that we are a scam artist because we found the pest control guy detached the flue, ruined the pipe, and metal taped it all back up. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to reply today. Yeah, that's funny. Let's see here. I think I've covered John Shoemate said, this is great, Mark. Just use your wisdom today. You have the business you deserve at my BNI meeting. That's so good. So you do have the business you deserve. You have the business you tolerate. There was a lady the other day that I said that in a meeting. I think Carmen may have been at it, where it's not what you say, it's what you tolerate, and you have the life you tolerate. And that lady used it she said it just haunts her a little bit because she talked about all the things in her life that she tolerates. People doing stuff to her, people being late, people taking advantage of her, people not respecting her. And when she stopped tolerating that is when her life got a lot better. So that was good stuff. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to cut it off. I definitely appreciate tonight. I'm so thankful for you. Thankful that people tune in every week. It's so funny when I turn on the on button to go live, I always just wait for that first person to watch. If there's one person watching, I'm good. And we always have more than that, but you never know. And I'm like, as long as one person's watching, I'll keep doing it. So thank you guys. Have a happy Thanksgiving. I appreciate you. And we will talk to you next week.